Thank you for listening to Detroit Sports World Talk. My name is Maurice Lewis. Let's get to it. This year's free agency, 2016 free agency, has been crazy. Ridiculous crazy. You got guys that are making so much money right now that don't even deserve their contract. And then again, you got guys that are getting paid good money that, they deserve it. They contribute, they're worth their contract. Which is why I've created my winners, my losers, teams that just make the cut, and teams that you just have to wait and see what happens with what they got in this year's free agency. So, let's start with the losers. The Milwaukee Bucks. What the hell are you doing paying Matthew Dellavedova 4 years, $39 million? I mean, he's a backup point guard for one. He's getting paid starting point guard money, and you bring him in to make this kind of money, and this dude may not even pan out to do good for you guys. You guys are expecting him to produce making that amount of money. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You're a loser. You take a big L for that one. The next up, the Los Angeles Lakers. They made the first move in getting Timothy Mozgov for $64 million for 4 years. This man's 32 years old, and he's making $64 million for 4 years, and he has not proved himself in this league yet? Are you serious? You'll see. Are you serious? You receive a big L for that one. You could have paid Al Jefferson for that kind of money. There are a whole other. You could have paid Al Horford for that kind of money, even though he just went to Boston for $113 million. But you could have paid a top-notch guy. You probably could have went and got a small forward or power forward for that kind of money. Ryan Anderson got $80 million from the Houston Rockets. Why couldn't you go after a guy like him? There were plenty of guys that you could have went after, and you decided to be the first NBA team to go after Mozgov for $64 million. You know what? You might as well just franchise tag him. Pay him all the money and throw your franchise down the drain, because this is just a disgrace. Laker fans are probably disgusted by this. And then you go on and pay Luol Deng $72 million for 4 years. He's on the down end of his career. He's still a good basketball player. Don't get me wrong. Probably still one of the best defensive players in this league. Really good basketball IQ. But is he worth $72 million for 4 years right now? No. Maybe a couple years ago. I understand that the salary is going up. But these teams, such as the Lakers, are paying ridiculous amount of money for players like this that don't deserve these contracts. Another player being Evan Turner. Evan Turner got $70 million for 4 years from the Blazers. Now, don't get me wrong. He's still a good player. He's an average player. He was number 2 in the draft class when he came out. But is he worth $70 million for 4 years? He hasn't proved himself yet. He's a good basketball player, but that's a risk that you're willing to take, and he's not worth that contract. But those are my losers. My winners, let's go to my winners. Let's start with the Boston Celtics. Al Horford, probably one of the biggest free agents this year. Is he worth $113 million with the salary cap going up? Absolutely. He's worth that money. He's on the championship team now with Isaiah Thomas, Avery Bradley, Jay Crowder. They just got Jaylen Brown. I feel like that's a good pickup too. They're going to be really nice. Really nice. Look out for Boston to make a huge playoff run. They're going to be solid this year. They're my huge winner. Another huge winner. Atlanta Hawks went and got Dwight Howard. Now, I know Dwight Howard has had issues with other teams such as LA and Houston, but he's still one of the best big men in this league. Is he worth $70 million for 3 years? Absolutely. He just has to fit that right system. And I think that right system is Atlanta. In Atlanta. Atlanta did great getting him. I mean, you don't have a huge ball handler such as Kobe and James Harden. So now the offense should revolve around Howard. If he can stay healthy, look for Atlanta to do some damage down the stretch. Look for Atlanta to be huge contenders. And then they re-signed Kent Bazemore, which was huge. Like, this guy has improved every single year. $70 million for 4 years. Is he worth that contract? Absolutely. With the salary cap going up and he's young, he's worth that contract. I'll take a risk on that. Atlanta, you're one of my huge winners. Toronto Raptors. DeMar DeRozan was probably one of the biggest free agents in this year's draft. And you re-signed him. There were talks of him going to the Lakers because he's from LA. And you re-signed him to a big contract. Is he worth that money? Absolutely. DeMar DeRozan, you re-signed him. You're already a playoff contender. And you got back the centerpiece of that team. Huge. I love it. And now, I was going to say the Chicago Bulls weren't going to be doing anything, but they ended up getting Rajon Rondo, which I kind of didn't agree with, but they just got rid of Derrick Rose. They needed a point guard. Will Rajon Rondo fit in there? I don't know, but he's still one of the better point guards in this league. So you have to say yes to that. They got Rajon Rondo, and then they were able to get Dwayne Wade. They were able to get him from the Miami Heat. Is that honestly one of the best things that the Chicago Bulls could do after getting rid of Rose? Yes. Yes. Do not hate on Dwayne Wade for making that decision. He's got some basketball years in him. He's already got a couple championships. Don't knock him for going back to his hometown and playing for the Chicago Bulls. That's not a bad place to play. Is that a basketball move? Yes. Is that a financial move? Yes. Because the Heat weren't going to pay him the amount of money that he should be getting paid. I love it. I love it. And my final winner, and a lot of people will disagree with me on this, is the Golden State Warriors. They were able to get Kevin Durant, the biggest free agent of this year. Some might say it's weak. Some might say it's shady. Some might say that it ruined his legacy because he didn't stay with OKC. I think that this was a decision for him, a basketball move for him, and he wants to get over the hump of winning a championship. Do you knock him for that? No. This man has spent most of his years in OKC and hasn't gotten over the hump of getting to the finals. He went to the finals one time and got beat by the Miami Heat. Don't knock him for doing something like that. Now, is it bad timing? Because he had just gotten beat by the Golden State Warriors, and the Golden State Warriors came back 3-1 to beat them, which is a bad loss, a bad way to go out in the playoffs. Is it bad timing that the team beat you, now you join them? Absolutely. Like, many people say that's weak. Many people will say that, you should have stayed in OKC. You already have a championship team there. But Golden State Warriors, they already have a championship team. Now he just made them better. I love it. I like it. It's good for basketball. But it's a basketball move from him, and that's it. You can't knock him for making a decision on doing that. There's a lot of people that shaded him for that, and I don't like it. Respect that man for doing that. Respect that man for being the basketball player that he is. Just because he wants to win championships doesn't mean that it was weak for him to make that decision and join from joining Golden State. So, for the teams that just might make the cut, you just made the cut, Dallas Mavericks. You were able to get Harrison Barnes, which you got lucky doing that because KD went to the Warriors. You signed Andrew Bogut. Honestly, that's not a really good... I mean, he's slow. A lot of people say he was a good defender. No. I mean, he's going to ride the pine, which is the only reason why Golden State went small, because he's too slow. But you were able to get Dirk Nowitzki back. Like, that's the best. That's the centerpiece of that team. You just make the cut. Like, you're going to make the playoffs. You got good people playing on that team now. You're going to contend in winning games and making the playoffs. So you just make the cut. A lot of people may disagree with me on this. The Memphis Grizzlies. They signed Mike Conley to $153 million. Is he overpaid? Absolutely. Is he worth $153 million? Absolutely. This man just became the highest paid player in the NBA. He just got off injury, and you're paying him $153 million? They did that because they didn't want to lose him. Other teams were trying to get him. The Spurs, OKC, other teams were trying to get him. The Memphis Grizzlies probably panicked a little bit and was like, you know what? With the salary cap going up, we need to keep you. You're an all-star caliber point guard, which, by the way, he has not made the all-star team yet. I'm going to pay him $153 million for 5 years. Is it a good basketball move for Mike Conley? Absolutely. But is that a risk-taking for the Memphis Grizzlies? Absolutely, too. Same here with Chandler Parsons. You paid that man $94 million for 4 years. That man just came off an injury, barely played with the Dallas Mavericks, and now you're going to pay him $94 million to come join your squad? You don't even know what he's going to do. Horrible. Horrible. Like, I don't like it, but we'll see what happens. We'll see where it goes. They end up getting James Ennis, too. I kind of like him, too, as well. But for the teams now that you just might have to wait and see what happens because you just don't know what's going to pan out with what they got, is the New York Knicks. They got Courtney Lee, which I think he deserves $50 million. He probably should have got paid way more with the way other teams overpaid other players. They got Joakim Noah. Do I think he's overpaid? Absolutely. And they got Brandon Jennings. They took a risk on him. $5 million for 1 year. That's not bad. He's going to prove himself. He might even take Derrick Rose's spot. Might take Derrick Rose's spot. I'll say that again. He might take Derrick Rose's spot. If Derrick Rose can stay healthy. But for my final say-so, and I have to go with this team, they're my winner, and they're also just to make the cut, is the Detroit Pistons. They already got a good starting five. They didn't really need to go out and get a free agent to fit in their starting five. They drafted really well in Henry Ellison and Michael Benajay. But they went and got a backup point guard who averaged 14 points, 15 points. And they signed him to a really good deal. He carried the 76ers. Ish Smith, they paid him $18 million for 3 years. That's not bad. That's really not bad. And he's going to do work. And he's going to get other players involved. That's actually pretty good for the Detroit Pistons. I grade them an A for that one. They needed a backup point guard. And then they went and got a stretch four, power forward in John Lure. That's awesome too. That guy can come in and contribute and do numbers. So they got some really good guys. That's, those are the big money players that the Pistons got. They already got a really good starting five, but they just made their bench 10 times better with filling holes that they needed filled. I feel bad for losing Anthony Tolliver. He's a little bit older, but we also got a bit younger. We got a bit younger too. So, With that being said, my name is Maurice Lewis. Thank you for listening to Detroit Sports World Talk. You can also follow me on Twitter, DET Sports World. Once again, that's DET Sports World. Have a good one.